Hello, welcome to the HoneyBee Hotline. Here I discuss all things honeybee related, from the sweet golden honey itself to candle making, beekeeping, European varieties, and even killer bees. Who am I? I'm the New Mexico bee lady, Christina Mann. I've been a beekeeper for 26 years, and I'm going to tell it like it is, because the truth is that honeybees are a venomous insect and they are not native to the Americas. Further, the Africanized honeybee was an experiment gone wrong in 1956, and it gave us the curse rightly known as killer bees. So, are you ready? Let's get started. Sticky, gooey, golden, raw honey is an amazing substance. It's more than just a sweet treat. It'll cure your allergies, but you must know how to use it. First off, you don't put it in hot tea, as comforting as that may sound. You don't add it to your food, and taking antihistamines or anticholinergics, for example NyQuil, at the same time nullifies any benefit you may receive. I think everybody recognizes name brand antihistamines like Allegra, Zyrtec, Claritin, but not everyone recognizes their generic names: fexofenadine, cetirizine, loratadine, and doctors will prescribe these pills. People take them, they don't know exactly what they're taking, and they take them for years on end. The pills become ineffective, the dose is increased, or the doctor switches the patient to another antihistamine. It becomes a downward spiral of diminishing returns, and I tell you, there's a better way, my friends. Last year I met Michael, who suffers from severe asthma. We became friends, and I shared with him my own experience of overcoming asthma I'd had since childhood by taking raw honey every day. Wanting to help, I gave him a year's worth of raw honey and explained carefully how to use it. A few months went by, and he calls me and tells me about more asthma attacks, and oh, by the way, he's almost out of honey. He was not only overusing it, but at the same time, he was taking Montelukast, which is the generic form of Singular, an asthma medicine. He was also on prednisone, a steroid. When I asked him why he was on so many drugs that essentially destroy his own body's ability to heal, he explained that his doctor was the only asthma doctor in the area, and she'd prescribed him. I was pretty sad that I couldn't help him, but at the same time, why doesn't anybody ever listen to me? Michael's currently living in Las Cruces, but I hope he'll return soon. In March, I tried to rehome my service dog, Moocher, with a veteran living here in Carlsbad. Moocher is amazing. I rescued her from the street and trained her myself, but she never got over being born in a pack and fighting to survive. She's dog aggressive because of her past, and she attacked a neighbor's dog in front of my house. Anyway, Joe said he wanted Moocher, but he ended up dumping her at Noah's Ark a week later. I immediately took her back, but she got very sick from the whole ordeal, and she also caught kennel cough. Now, kennel cough is highly contagious. I couldn't take her to the vet until she was over the cough. Internet research said that warm honey was a great medicine. What do you know? I could do that. I started giving her a teaspoon of honey mixed with lukewarm water 3 times a day. I'd open her mouth, spoon it in, and gently massage her neck. Miraculously, in less than a week, her cough was gone. There was also another remedy I was turned on to by my friend Olivia, who works at the post office. Olivia described growing up with a cousin in Mexico who was nearsighted and had to wear glasses from a young age. Her cousin would dab some raw honey in each eye every night before bed. She did this faithfully, and by the time she was a teenager, she no longer needed glasses. She has perfect eyesight to this day. I imagine the cousin gained this wisdom from some loving abuela, because she started as a young child. And it's a shame that we're losing these holistic remedies as the older generations die. I've put honey in my eyes, and it burns like crazy for a few minutes. Then your eyelids are sticky, so you gotta get a washcloth and clean your face. Moms would appreciate that part. Recently, I was experiencing a lot of dry eye, so I started putting honey in my eyes in the morning. The dry eye's gone now, but it would take real dedication to keep this up until I can throw my glasses away. Olivia hasn't been able to do it, and neither have I, but I'm really glad she told me about it. Now, by federal law, grocery store honey is all pasteurized. By federal law, grocery store honey is all pasteurized. This is because up until last century, some babies have died from botulism poisoning resulting from being fed raw honey. People didn't know. They were just giving the baby nourishment. It's the perfect food, right? Any beekeeper selling raw honey should understand this and warn every parent with young babies under a year old who purchase their product. So now all commercial is pasteurized, which means that it is heated under controlled conditions to kill all potential bacteria. It becomes no more than a sweetener. Heat destroys the enzymes and the antimicrobial properties. I've seen honey at Albertsons that is labeled raw. That's a lie. It's false advertising. 2 years ago, I saw a senior citizen in a faded house dress in Albertsons carefully inspecting the jars of honey on the shelf. Moocher and I went over and talked to her. Her name was Corinne. She was a lovely woman who described her dad's beekeeping skills in Oklahoma during the Great Depression. I gently took the jar of honey from her hands and placed it back on the shelf, and then wrote down her name and an address. The next day, I delivered a big jar to her house. She showed me her garden and her dog. She was so happy to receive some real honey to help her with her allergies. My final story, in 1997, I was deer hunting in the California coastal mountains and caught my boot on a root and then fell over the outside of my ankle, snapping the bones in 5 places. A surgeon in Willits did an amazing job of putting a plate and 12 screws into it to keep it together. At home, however, the incision on one side had an awful blue infection that wouldn't heal. Using a topical antibiotic ointment on the wound didn't do anything. The infection went to the bone, which is osteomyelitis, and it became very serious. A doctor at the clinic ordered Melaleuca honey from New Zealand to paste onto the wound with tongue depressors. It worked like magic, and that was my first introduction to the healing powers of honey. And there you have the extent of my experiences. So listen carefully, because honey can work for you too. For allergies, take a half teaspoon first thing in the morning. Now I gotta interject here that the internet meme, which says a metal spoon kills the honey goodness, is a complete load of steer manure. Honey is extracted into a large steel tank. I don't know how that bit of stupidity got started, but it sure gets sucked up by gullible people. Now you don't eat the honey with anything else, just put it on your tongue and swallow it. I had a neighbor tell me that it worked for her sister in only 3 days. The anecdotal evidence, the stories and first-hand experiences of healing is overwhelming, but there have never been clinical trials investigating its properties. That's because no pharmaceutical companies will ever research it. They can't make any money off of it, and they can't copyright it. I'm sorry to say that I'm technically out of honey until August. I only have my personal honey pot, just like Winnie the Pooh Bear. However, I've partnered up with Sam French here in Carlsbad. His source is from the apiary of my friends Dennis and Denise Ross of Hobbs. They manage over 200 hives carefully to prevent Africanized bees from taking over. Although Sam's honey supply comes from Hobbs, it's still geographically in the Chihuahuan Desert and contains the same pollens that cause suffering here in Eddy County. I even bought some myself from Sam French so I could offer my clients a small sample. Currently, he's selling a light mesquite honey. So give him a call at 575-302-3272. And if you have any questions or comments for me, my home phone number is 575-885-0258. That's a landline, and I'm a vicious call screener. So if you want my help or to comment on this podcast, you better leave a message. That's 575-885-0258. Thank you for listening. I'm the New Mexico Bee Lady, broadcasting from Southeast New Mexico Community College here in Carlsbad on radio station KCCC. I hope you'll tune in again.